meeting is being recorded.
All right. Hi, everyone. Bill Corcoran here. We're off to our third episode. Are we calling it an episode? Are we calling it?
Episode works.
Yeah, episodes are good. Okay, yeah. So this is the way it goes. We go on the fly. We did plan it out though, for our Tranont Men's Health Night, talking about men's health for men, knowing that these products are for all, but we definitely have a niche here. So you're familiar with Chuck. Chuck will kind of do some familiar questions to you, tell your story. So there's some new bodies here, but we have two guests this week, which is new for us, and a new friend that I just met through all of this. So we have Josh Jaetzold here, and Dan Stevens, who's going to join us here as well. So they'll get a few moments to say hi to themselves, for themselves, and kind of say who they are, where they're from, and what they are. But yeah, I think so. Third episode, they didn't kick us off the airs yet, Chuck?
Not yet.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, that means we're doing something right. We just got to figure out what that is. So I'll throw it to Josh first, and then Dan, and then you can go to Chuck. So basically, we're here. We're guys. We love Tranont. So I guess tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, where you're from. You know what brought you to Tranont. So Josh,
Right.
I'll throw it to you.
All right, so name's Josh Jaetzold. I live in Southeast Texas. We're down on the Gulf Coast and Louisiana border, so we're about as far southeast as you can go. I'm a technology officer for an engineering company here. My wife is also in Tranont, and she started long before me. When I started seeing her have some success, I ended up getting on board. So I had a product experience. Got on board, and now we're both Ruby leaders. We both get paid to drive Jeeps, and we just love everything about the business and the products. So if you want to know my product experience, what got me involved was with Glow, the liquid collagen. So if you want to talk about that now, we can, or if you want to talk about it after we do some introductions, it's up to you.
Yeah, maybe we'll finish the introductions, and then definitely I want to kind of dig into that routine part with you. Yeah, I would love to hear about that for sure. Dan?
Yeah, I'm Dan Stevens. I live in Ottawa, Canada, born and raised here. I was brought to Tranont from my wife as well, who's going at it full time. I'm a commercial banker, so I lend money to entrepreneurs that run what we would consider kind of larger-ish companies, anything above 5 million in sales. So for me, the two things that have really emerged since the pandemic for me has been I'm back to quite a few events with work, which include a number of lunches out with clients. So it's that sort of very heavy eating. Even if you try and make the best decision. So what got me on was the Enrich. It really, again, I don't want to get too much into it if we'll talk about it later, but that was the product that I found really helped me with things like bloating, just feeling better in the afternoon, especially if you have that heavier meal. Again, trying to make better decisions, but even we know how that goes. So second favorite product, have it every day, can't live without it, is the Mojo. So huge. I love really kind of, I would say that they really sell themselves. I have a number of colleagues that have liked to try the products. They love it. Yeah, so.
That's great. Thank you so much. And then Chuck, I'll throw it to you for that sort of overview intro of who you are.
Yeah. So Chuck O'Donnell, I live in Jersey now for the past 30 years or so. And what brought me was just the idea of being healthier as I get older. So, I signed on, but I wanted to try all the products first, and I continue to try them, and they're all just awesome. They just help me live the kind of life that I want to live. Whether it's Mojo in the morning, or Dan just talked about Enrich, we can talk about that a little bit later on. But my backstory a little bit is 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had to fight it for a year, and it was a colon rectal cancer. So my digestive system isn't what it should be, but when you are, once you beat it, you have a new normal, they call it. And I just assumed my new normal was going to be the way it was going to be the rest of my life, because that's kind of what they told me. And after trying the Enrich, it just changed everything for me. It allowed me to just have more fun at events and do more things. As a matter of fact, I'm going on a golf trip over the next 3 days, and I just know it's going to be a whole different outlook than it was last year before I found Enrich.
It's amazing, those psychological changes too.
Oh my
And I'll
gosh.
speak to
Yep.
my experience with the product, just in traveling, just in, and just even going to work in the morning. It's a game changer.
Yep. I wish it would help my golf game, but I just, that'd be a
Well,
great side benefit.
yeah. I mean, if Tranont made a product like that, I'm sure it'd be very popular. That's how you would get a lot of
for
the
sure.
guys in with a golf improvement product.
That's right.
So my name is Bill Corcoran. I'm a teacher based out of Ottawa, Canada as well, same city as Dan. And so same story for myself. I was going through some dark times mentally, and part of that process was, getting my brain more energetic, and then my body, just I wanted to spin it in so many ways. So my story led me to the products through a friend, through Sarah as well, who is one of our Tranont leaders too. And as I kind of dug into all the amazingness of what these natural products can do for me, I'm like you, Chuck. I wanted to say I want to try them all.
Right.
And if I started trying them all, I'm like, wow, well, hopefully I can share this passion with others. And as I started going through it, people are watching. And so I, jumped on board from the business side of things. So that's me as well. I noticed that you put the background on and I changed mine. This is not a
Hey,
background. This is
listen.
me today. We didn't coordinate today, but I love it.
Yeah, behind me is it's the 7th hole Pebble Beach. It's on the bucket list. I have a friend who's done it twice, so
Okay.
I need to go experience it at least once.
All right. That water has probably claimed much of golf balls, I think.
It would claim a lot of mine.
Yeah. All right, so kind of going through this as well, we kind of started dabbling into what brought us here, including the products that we would typically use on a day. So kind of, I'll do it the same order, so I won't kind of mediate in between. So Josh, when you're finished, Dan can go, and then through to Chuck. So Josh, what does kind of your routine look on the product side of things each day? Like, what's your kind of go-to on a typical day for you?
Yeah, so in the mornings, first thing in the morning, I have high blood pressure, so I take blood pressure medication. I take all of those meds first thing in the morning, and that's when I also take Balance and Renew. So I love Balance. It's a great. I take that in place of a daily, right? So it really gets me started in the mornings. I do like Mojo, so I follow a carnivore diet. So no plants in my diet whatsoever, other than our products that are plant-based, right? So that's really the only plants I get. So I have Balance, I have Renew, I have Enrich, I have Mojo. But what gets me through every day is Glow. So I have arthritis in my hands, really bad in my knuckles, and I have restless leg syndrome. A couple of years ago, I had some blood clotting issues and things like that, and so I always get nervous when my legs ache. So Glow takes all that away for me. So it really, really helps my joints, and it really makes me not achy. It takes away that leg pain and that restless leg syndrome. It has shrank pores. It has taken away dry skin and flakiness. It has been my go-to product every single day. But all the products I love. Zest is great. You don't get a jitter. You don't get a crash on that when you take Zest, which is for people that don't know, it's an energy drink, just like our coffee, our Mojo. I know you guys covered that on the last episode that y'all did. So,
well, feel free to jump in. We're trying to get to
we
know
can
you.
talk
You
about
weren't
whatever
here
you want
last
to talk.
episode,
Yeah.
so please speak to it. There's no parameters. Just tell us your story.
All right, good deal. So, I love that stuff. I used to be a monster, 2 or 3 monster a day type of guy. Zest really is so much better for you than Monster, and you don't get those crashes. You don't get jittery, and it just really gets you going. So that's really good for me after lunch. Mojo, I still drink coffee, and what I have found here lately is the sticks, the Mojo sticks in chocolate. I like to put those in my coffee. So that might sound a little weird, but I do that. And I also
do
add
it every morning.
do you? And I also add cream to it. So because on my diet, on the carnivore diet, I have to get a certain level of fat. So I do add heavy cream to that. But man, it's just such a great drink first thing in the morning. I don't know what it is about that coffee with the chocolate and the cream. It's just It's just good. Um, you know, Nourish. Right now, I've been doing this carnivore diet for the last 90 days, so I have actually backed off on the Nourish. But prior to that, I was hitting Nourish every day for lunch. Very fulfilling. You know, just a really good drink. I would put it in almond milk, and it really just suppresses that hunger. You know, it was really, really good for me then. Um, I did this carnivore as an elimination diet, just so you know. So it's not forever. I'll be going back to it. But that's where I'm at right now as far as products go. I really like Renew. It's a, you know, it's a super complex vitamin E, and a lot of people, it's a good product, but it's not a high impact product because you don't see results from it. It's not something you can see, but it does repair things internally. And then the last thing that I do, that I want to just touch on because it's very odd for guys. Not a lot of guys talk about this, but is the skincare. And Rejuvenate, that skincare that we have is, I started using it when it came out last September, and I really, really love that stuff. It's I was never a skincare guy. I would wash my face in the shower, you know, that's about it. But man, that stuff has really worked miracles for me, as far as oil control and just getting bags. I'm tired now. I didn't sleep last night, so I do have some bags, but didn't. I used to have some really dark circles under here, and you know, that stuff has really, really made a difference for me. So that's kind of my daily on the products.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of going against my own flow there, Dan, but I'm like, I wanted to speak to that because that is a stigma as well. I was very open when you know, the skincare items came up, and I want to lead by trying the products out. So I have that piece. I love it too. I had the same experience as you. You mentioned about your diet and how it's like that temporary. So is it kind of like a cleansing type piece by only eating things for a certain amount of time? Like you used a term in there. What was that term? Like a temporary kind of thing. What was that word?
Yeah, so elimination
Elimination.
diet.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was happening is I was having some allergy type things going on. Wasn't sure where it was coming from, and my doctor actually recommended to do an elimination diet for 30 days. Um, and so I started doing this. But what happened was I felt so good after the 30 days, I just kept going. I decided to stretch it out to 90, and so because all the allergens did go away, I actually discovered that I was allergic to eggs, believe it or not, which is like a superfood, right? Everybody eats eggs, but I can't have them anymore. You know, some things like that. So that's why I went down that road. And so I'm starting to add things back in now, and so it's good.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Dan. There. Now I'll pass it over to you, bud.
Yeah, sorry to hear about the eggs. I don't want to rub it in, but I do eat them every day.
Yeah.
So for me, when it comes to diet, I'm more trying to get into an omelet every morning. So you know, a good hearty meal, but not too heavy. Um, but probably a couple of years ago, I started coming home and I was always tired and I was exhausted after work, and I just chalked it up to being, you know, burning the candle at both ends. Or but I noticed between 1 and maybe 2 o'clock, while we transitioned to work from home, I felt like I could go to bed every day. I was exhausted, and um, it came down to basically, you know, the feeling in my stomach. It was a lot of bloating. I've never considered myself to have a sensitive stomach, but a lot of foods do. Um, I don't feel great after, and so with the rich, it really makes that go away. It really does. I don't crash in the afternoon. I just feel better. Like and to me, that was sort of what sold me. Is it was a physical reaction. I felt the difference. Like it was clear as day that when I took the products, I felt better. When I didn't feel good. And I would consider myself and my wife to say that we eat quite well. I would say we're you know, both really enjoy cooking. So you know, we're kind of meal prep by from scratch, if you call it. So, but for some reason, every time I have even a light to big meal, I would get bloated, and that started probably around 38. I'm 41 now, and it's great. Like today, I went out. I had Cobb salad for lunch, and a margarita because I was out with a client who wanted to have a margarita, and I had two after, and I went back to the office and I felt great. There was no issues there. So um, Another product, I can't go a day without Mojo. I'm like addicted to it, I have to say, in a good way. I genuinely, again, really enjoy the flavor. I love the taste. I love the fact that you can water it down significantly if you want a larger cup, or you can have a little bit more of a stronger shot. And I like it either way. In 2019, out of the blue, it took me a while to figure this out, but I had a panic attack while I was camping. Like, ironically, it's, I'm in a good place, my happy place, and I had a panic attack with some buddies when we were camping. And this prolonged over 2020, where I had, first time in my life dealing with things like anxiety. And basically, when I went through sort of elimination like you did, Josh, we found out it was caffeine, like it was the coffee, and I did drink. I was a heavy coffee drinker. I love coffee. I'm not a picky coffee drinker. I'll do the Starbucks, the Timmy's, everything, but maybe the corner gas station on the side of the road for coffee I'll drink. But I find when I have coffee, I'd be at my office and my wife Stephanie would see me, my legs shaking, and I'm typing an email, and she's like, that's probably what's throwing you off. I don't get any of that from Mojo, none. So the only part I don't like about it is when it ends, because it's over, and I want to dive in and have another one, but you gotta moderate. So what I've been doing lately is I've been having one in the morning, and I get up around 6:30, so about 7 o'clock. I have generally a Yeti mug full, big thermos, and then I will have a half scoop in the afternoon around 1 o'clock, and that'll keep me going till 5, and I feel great. So no crashing, again, no jitters, no shakes, and anxiety seems to be gone over the last 5 months, so which is great news. I am still fairly new to this, so I am just getting educated on some of the other products in my field, and just in my circle of my network. Those two products are the ones that have hit off the most, especially amongst some male colleagues. So those are the two that I find, I don't want to use the word sell themselves, but once people try it, generally speaking, they get the positive reactions I've had. So
I'm like you. I'll drink coffee anywhere. But ever since I started drinking Mojo, I don't feel the need. I don't have to do it anymore. So I would drink 16 cups of coffee before 1 o'clock in the afternoon before. And I was a little jittery, but I got used to it. Right. But just like you, I would have that crash, and I don't have that anymore. And like you said, I'm actually, when I'm at the bottom of the cup, I feel bad. Like I want to have another one. I don't need another one. I just want another one. And the chocolate flavor just about ruined me for regular coffee. I couldn't get over how good it tastes. But I kind of wish, that we could show people what it does versus just tell people what it does. Right. I wish they could just feel how good it feels for just a day. And then everybody would want to be using these products and stuff too. The collagen, the same way I have arthritis in my back, arthritis in my hands. And ever since I started using the Glow daily, I don't have those issues at all. Moving my daughter today, and I have the screwdrivers and I'm unscrewing things, and my hands used to lock up, and you're kind of using your other hand to peel them apart. I don't have to do that anymore. So those two products for me in the Enrich. I go to NASCAR every single year and spend a weekend, excuse me, at Dover, Delaware. And we would get there and tailgate, and we would get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and to immediately try and scope out where the bathrooms are. And day one's not so bad, but day two in the Porta Johns, man, just not so good with 50,000, 100,000 NASCAR fans. It's just not a good place to be. So the Enrich has just really helped me enjoy my life. Just kind of take it all back. I would get bloated in the afternoon too. And then I would get worried about how I felt or how I was going to feel later on if I was out to dinner with people. And I just don't have any of those issues at all anymore since I started taking it. So those are the three for me. And my friends are just now starting to come around the same way. I'm in a softball league. It's an over 35 league. I'm the third oldest guy on the team. I keep saying I'm the only guy that's not hurt. Everybody else pulled muscles, got to take a day off or whatever. And I don't have to do any of that. I feel just awesome every single day. And I know a lot of it has to do with the products. A lot of it has to do with the products.
I agree. And we were kind of talking about how our friends over the last couple of episodes, our friends are starting to notice, and they're
Yep.
asking a little bit, or at least they're starting to notice. You say, yeah, it's these things. And then there's that awkward silence for like 5 seconds. And like, then you say, well, do you want to try them? Yeah, I'll tell my wife about it, or something like that. They kind of like
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
deflect it off, where we're trying to say, this is why we're doing these shows, is that we want guys to try these products. And it's so true. People are noticing. For myself, my story too, like the journey. I mean, I use all the products. Some are, intertwined throughout the week, but my morning, I still have a coffee. That's my vice. But I put Enhance in it, which is that sort of the creamer piece. But to Josh's point, my second, like when I go into that mojo mode, I put the chocolate mojo with peppermint Enhance. We call it a mocha in Canada. I'm sure maybe it's the same, but like you kind of get that Christmassy feeling a little bit with that. And I bought so many of those. It's awesome. But the glow product was the first thing I picked out, because I was actually shopping for biotin for my nails and my skin. They were so brittle. Like I always kind of, when I was growing up, I'd look at my like grandma's arms and see how, marked up they were and easily bruised. And I'm just like, wow, like, and then all of a sudden I was in my 30s, I'm 40 now, just saying like, okay, well, this is how it happens. Like that's like 60 years more of life. I can easily imagine how brittle it is. So that immediately was what drew me to the glow product. But then, yeah, my neck, seeing a chiropractor immediately, those pieces. But yeah, I think I'll jump in a little bit to the Enrich product on my experiences as well. So I mean, I learned a little bit about my body too, kind of similar to that elimination method as well. Our kids, had allergies, and one's allergic to peanuts. So as their kid, you grow up, you have very similar things. I actually learned that I was lactose intolerant last December, but I was on that process of saying, okay, well, what do I eat that kind of triggers something as well? But it's not just that. It was some of the diets and the things that, if you're camping and you put on burgers and so forth, like, yeah, I'm not eating cheese right now with lactose in it, but it's way more than that. The balance of the diet, and just the Enrich digestive enzymes for sure. And one thing I didn't know about the product, because I was taking probiotics before, like I'd go to Costco, I'd get the Jameson ones, and they were a good product, but I didn't know the balance between the pre and probiotic, as well as the digestive enzyme, which this one has, lots that actually activates them and gets them moving. And they all work like in a tandem. So I think that's a big piece that I was learning about it. And just that increase of that nutrients as well. So when you have a healthier gut, right? A lot of people say it's your second brain. Like so many things run through that, whether it's your skin health, whether it's just so many items that you have. So I think that's one piece. And then that comfort, that bloating piece, just wow, it just takes, it's night and day, just that you don't feel, and everything that comes and stirs from it. So for myself, that enriched digestive enzyme is just such a game changer for myself too. And it was one of the second products I kind of went in. But it also can complement, Josh, you mentioned Nourish. So that's also my mid-morning kind of, we talked about fasting last week. And so I'll kind of have that coffee in the morning with a little bit of sugar. I'm trying to get rid of that, and then some Enhance. And then as I get off to go to work, I'll get a smoothie ready with Nourish in, and then I'll have my coffee, which is my Mojo, with Enhance in it. So that kind of gets me to around lunchtime, fill me up, get me to that stretch as I go towards home and supper time. So that's my story. And so I've been on the journey for 13 months. I joined in, I guess it's over 13 months now. I joined in April last year in 2022. So I think we've dug in a lot of it, I guess, on the Enriched product. But is there anything as it keeps on bouncing around that you wanted to add about the Enriched product specifically?
Yeah, if you allow me, I can speak to it a little bit. So, one thing, I know we're not doing any demos right now. I'm sure you've seen the pudding demo, and you might do one. But the enzymes that it has, if you think about food, like a banana, for example, it has these living enzymes in it, and it will it will take itself away. It'll digest itself. If you were to open a banana and throw it out on the counter and come back in a couple of hours, it's going to be turning brown. In a day or two, it's probably going to completely liquefy. But whenever you cook that food, you cook those enzymes out, and so it can't break itself down. So, like a slice of pizza, for example, if you were to take that and throw it out on the counter, you come back in 2 weeks, it's going to pretty much look the same, right? Because you cooked all those enzymes out of it, and so that's a big deal. Especially, it works. Everybody goes to the bathroom, right? Nobody wants to talk about it, but guys that have IBS, I have a ton of customers, guy friends that have IBS. Well, that's not something that's common. It's not something that guys talk about, right? I have friends that are all power lifters and bodybuilders, and all they eat is meat, and they're all plugged up. And Enrich helps with that too. So it's just really a really unique product, how those enzymes will break down all those sugars and fats and carbs and proteins and help you process them and get rid of them. It's a very impressive product.
Yep.
Yeah, and definitely definitely reach out to somebody who invited you into the group that you're probably watching this in, because that pudding demo is amazing. And so just the idea of putting them in a cup of pudding and mixing around for like a minute, not even a minute, and just seeing how it liquefies is amazing. The other thing I've learned a lot about, because I didn't know initially off the bat, we talked a little bit about the collagen and when at the age of 25, and you kind of stop producing it as you get older. But for the most of the products, like, they're kid friendly. Like, obviously I'd always consult with the doctor if you had any questions, but like the amount of posts I've seen that, my child has, eczema, and they can break the capsule open and put a little bit in a smoothie for them, and they're clearing up from different problems with that. That's like, these products are real. And for having kids who had that major eczema, had allergies or whatever, I wish I kind of knew about this way before, because that would have maybe helped solve some of their journeys as well. So I just want to kind of, like, in the groups that we have, there's so many testimonies of kids also using a lot of these products that will help them. I don't suggest giving them Mojo because they have enough energy, but in this case, Enrich, I think, could serve a purpose from that standpoint. But no, I think we've done like a super good job about kind of bringing that piece together about Enrich, and highlighting a story. Each week we'll kind of pick one out of pieces, and I could talk for hours on all of them. But any last thoughts there, Dan?
Just one last point. It's you just brought it up. I mean, with all the negative, bad things in the world, medical science is one of the positive lights, and medications have helped save and prolong people's life everywhere. But and Josh and Chuck, you don't need to get into it, but it's a little different up here right now in this post-COVID world. Our healthcare system took a real beating over the last few years, and access to quality care in our province right now is challenging. And it's interesting that whenever you do go to a doctor, or you say, I have some issues, or I'm not feeling great, or this and that, probably most of the time you end up on some medication. And medications are great, they help you, but they also do come with side effects, and it's well known. And as you get older and you talk to people, and you said we don't, as guys, talk about it, but when you do break it out, oh, I didn't know my buddy's on anxiety medication. You know what I mean? And you end up talking about some of the negative side effects that are coming from it. A lot of people's health problems probably can be moderated by simply doing a full panel of blood work and finding out what vitamins that they're just low on naturally, or they don't produce, or their body doesn't absorb it properly. And using some of these products just to fix those little vitamins and minerals, the lack of or too much of another, probably will make people in general just feel so much better without having to take that risk of side effects from medications. And like I said, I'm a big supporter of that. Obviously, you got to consult with your doctor, but it's a really neat way to look at making you feel better. It's just simply, someone could be vitamin D deficient or vitamin E deficient, and as soon as you plug that gap with a quality natural product, you feel better. And when you feel better, life is better.
Yep. Well said.
Yeah, and I think that goes well with kind of, I want to dig in, not probably in this episode, but the transparency promise and the kind of medical board that Tranont has. So, a lot of patents, a lot of like high quality pieces, how long they've been around. And when I really started looking at the products, they all fill a need and a void in certain pieces. And then to your point, Dan, about just learning along the way what you need, like even I learned, the importance of vitamin B and B12 in relating to even depression. When those levels are low, there's a correlation. It's not the only factor, of course, but it can be a part in the parcel. So I kind of want to speak to those kind of that transparency promise and that sort of at one piece. But it's just that around those clean and the production of those materials as well. Any last thoughts there, Chuck?
No, really, no, that was very well said. How do you follow that up, right? Those guys did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh, thanks so much for joining. We're going to keep in touch, of course. Dan, you're in Ottawa. We'll probably cross paths in person one soon. And for the rest of the group, hopefully one day soon as well. So for episode was the word?
Episode word.
Yes, okay, episode was the word. I didn't want to forget it. So episode 3, here we go. Thanks so much to this crew, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon, guys. Have a good one.